I lay on the tent, trying to get some sleep. This is what I hate the most about camping. The never-ending nights, in which I struggle to fall asleep. Truly annoying. I can see the bonfire through the tent. The sparkles help me relax. It's so calming, almost too calming. I enter the half-asleep phase, the one where you are almost asleep. Just then, I hear a sound. I can't make out what it is. The curiosity takes over in my body. I can't see anything through the tent. Just the bonfire, still burning, and the fire sparkles sparkling. I try to forget about it. I lay on the tent. I'm about to fall asleep again, when I suddenly hear it again. The same sound. I still can't make out what it is, but it's definitely coming from near the bonfire. I look at my watch. 2 a.m. I start feeling anxious. This is ridiculous. It's most likely just an animal. Maybe a fox, a bird, some squirrel. Why am I even thinking about it? I turn around, hoping to finally get some sleep. I try to think about what I will do when I get back home. Trying to relax and calm myself down. The silence is too perfect. It's almost too good to be true. I'm beginning to fall asleep again. Everything is perfect right now. Then, I hear the same exact sound again. I jump in fear. Now I'm really starting to get nervous. This is so ridiculous. Why am I getting so scared over a sound? It's nothing. It's literally just an animal doing its things. I can't stop thinking about it. What if it's not? What if someone is out there, possibly someone dangerous? I shouldn't even be thinking about this. Random sounds are natural. I try to lay down again, but my heavy breathing is obvious. I can't relax. I can't fall asleep. I try different positions, nothing works. Not even the relaxing bonfire is helping me. I need to see what or who is out there. It's the only way I can finally calm down. I'm scared. I don't want to leave the comfort of my tent, but I have to. Before I can even stand up, I hear the exact same sound again. This time it's even closer. I think I can make out what it is. It sounds like a sharp object. My heart starts racing as I start sweating. This can't be possible. It's literally just a fucking sound. Why am I so nervous? I try to forget about it, but my heart is pounding at least 500 times faster than it usually does. I can't resist anymore. I need to see what's outside. Just as I try to stand up, I see a dark figure by the bonfire. I freeze. The figure is looking down at me through the tent, and I can see something in its hand. It's a knife. A very sharp knife.
September 2007. I remember it was so rainy. The darkness filled the sky. It felt so cozy inside. I sat down to watch the TV. Got my soda and sat down on the couch. Just the usual Sunday evening for me. It must have been an hour or two before I started hearing something come from my bedroom. My apartment is very tiny. You only have a bedroom, a bathroom, a small living room, and a kitchen. I dismissed it and continued watching the TV for a bit. I love the sound of the rain pouring down outside. It was so relaxing. I continued watching the TV while I on my phone for some time. The sound from the rain, and the static noise from the TV was amazing. Everything was fine, until I got hungry. I decided to head to the kitchen and make a sandwich. It was only around 9 o'clock. Just as I got into the kitchen, I started hearing sounds again. They were strange. It sounded like a mix of quiet whispering and footsteps. I don't know how else to describe it. I again tried to ignore them, as I thought they must have been from a neighbor or something. I started making my sandwich. Got my favorite ingredients out and put the bread in the toaster. I waited for 5 minutes until it was ready. That's when everything took a turn for the worse. I started hearing the sounds again. This time they were much clearer and louder. I started getting anxious. I swear, I could hear the voice of a woman whispering something along the lines of, "I'm gonna kill you." This is when I started to panic. There was no one else in the house with me, at least that I knew of. I kept turning around, making sure no one was behind me. And no one was. I do not have any medical condition, such as schizophrenia, so I started thinking that maybe my lack of sleep was causing me to hallucinate and imagine sounds. I turned up the sound from the TV to try and ignore whatever those sounds were. It worked for a while, but I eventually started hearing them again. I was getting so scared right now. I kept hearing someone whispering in one of my ears, but no one else was in the room with me. That's when I decided enough was enough. I called the police and told them that I think someone may have broken into my house. That was enough for them to inform me that they were on their way. What a relief. I don't know how, but the sounds magically stopped after the phone call. I was so relieved. I tried calming down and continued watching the TV. My favorite show was on now. I almost forgot about the whole incident, but not even 5 minutes later, I heard something fall in my bedroom. It wasn't just anything. There was definitely impact. This must have been a stone or something similar. I started shaking in fear, not knowing what to do. I decided to be brave, and headed to my room. I didn't turn on any of the lights on the way there. That was a dumb mistake. I could still hear the rain from outside, it wasn't relaxing anymore. I very slowly walked to my room. I was so scared, but I managed to get inside and see what caused the sound. That's when I noticed something in the corner of my room. It was in the dark corner, the corner where the light from the window didn't shine. I was practically paralyzed. What was that? I somehow turned on the light, and that's when I saw it. I saw the skeleton of a human, laying on the corner. I didn't even have time to scream or react, because that's when I heard someone whisper in my ear.
You're next.
I was 12 when this incident occurred. My family and I were going to a small town by the east coast of Florida for the week. When I say my family, I mean just my small brother and my mom. My dad unfortunately died a few years before this, and we were all still devastated. This is why my mom took me and my brother to Florida. She wanted us to have fun and to stop thinking about Dad all day. As I said, she took us to a small town by the coast. This was in mid-June, so the temperatures were pretty high. I loved the hot weather, so I didn't mind. Of course, we had to book a room in a hotel to spend the week in. I'll skip the boring and overly complicated details. It was nighttime when we got to the hotel. It definitely wasn't a 5-star hotel. I'd say it was maximum a 3-star hotel. I was just an immature kid at the time, so I didn't really care nor notice anything strange. I did however notice the big letters at the entrance of the hotel. 1918 Hotel. For some reason, this caught my attention. After what felt like an eternity, we finally got an available room. It was on the 6th floor. Sadly, I don't remember which precise room it was. Thank God we got there fast, because I was exhausted. We had been out all day, and I just wanted to jump in the bed and play some computer games. I quickly brushed my teeth and got into my pajamas. At around 11 o'clock, we got into bed. It wasn't a big room, and we only had a bunk bed. My brother and mom slept on top, while I stayed in the lower one, playing on my computer. I had terrible insomnia at the time, so I was probably playing computer games for at least 3 hours. When I realized it was 2 a.m., I quickly saved and closed the games, turned off my computer and tried to fall asleep. I covered myself in the thick hotel blankets. That's when I started hearing something outside. It sounded like footsteps. I slowly got up, trying not to wake up my brother or my mom. I got to the door and pressed my face against it to hear better. There was someone walking outside in the hallway. I couldn't tell what direction they were going, but it felt like they were just pacing back and forth, essentially going nowhere. I started getting a strange feeling. It felt like at least 15 minutes before the footsteps started fading away. When I couldn't hear them anymore, I decided to try and forget about it and went to bed. I laid there for ages, but my insomnia wouldn't let me sleep. I didn't get more than 2 hours of sleep that night. The next day was more of the same. We went out, went to park, had a nice meal, had ice cream, and especially had fun. I actually forgot about what happened the previous night. But that wouldn't last long. When we got back, my mom and brother went to bed at around 10 or 11, while I stayed on my computer for some hours. Just like the previous night, I started hearing footsteps outside. It was at the exact same time too. This is when I got extremely suspicious. I stood up and went to hear the footsteps better. Our shitty room didn't have a peephole in the door, so there was no possible way I could see who that was. The closer the footsteps got, the more I wanted to open the door and see who was out there. I knew it was a bad idea, so I stopped myself and decided to go to bed. I could still hear them. Someone was pacing back and forth outside. Magically, I fell asleep rather quickly. The next morning, I wasn't sure whether I should tell my mom or not. I decided to just be quiet, since she'll probably think I'm being a paranoid. We went to the cinema that day, then we had a nice dinner at a small restaurant. It was delicious. We got back to the hotel at around 10, and my mom and brother went almost instantly to bed. I decided to stay on my computer again. This time I paid attention to the time, trying to see if I would hear footsteps again at 2 a.m. This is when everything got strange. My computer game started glitching after an hour or two. It wouldn't load, and the audio was broken. I was getting annoyed now. I shut down my computer and plugged out my earphones. It was still not 2 a.m., so I decided to try stay awake till I heard the sounds. I swear, not even half a minute later, I started hearing the exact same footsteps outside. Now I started getting anxious. It was as if the footsteps were following me. I very quietly got up and walked towards the door. This time I brought a flashlight with me, since I was planning on opening the door and seeing who was out there. I pressed the side of my face against the door to try and hear the sounds better. This time they stopped. I was confused. I backed away and the footsteps returned. This was getting very bizarre now. It seemed like something out of the paranormal. I stood there for around 5 minutes, just staring at the door, hoping the footsteps would stop. They eventually did. I could hear them fade away into the distance. That's when I committed the biggest mistake of my life. I slowly and quietly opened the door. I took a peek to see if anyone was outside. All I could see was the vast darkness. For some dumb reason, I decided to investigate who was making the sounds. I grabbed my flashlight and started walking down the hotel hallway. I flashed the light towards each and every single door. I couldn't see anyone. The hallway seemed to be never ending. I just kept walking, and it never ended. Everything was so quiet, until I started hearing them again. It was those exact same footsteps. They got louder each second, as my heart started pounding faster and faster. I was in a very narrow hallway, with no possible escape of whoever was out there. The footsteps kept getting louder as I started feeling a presence near me. That's when I decided to flash the light towards the direction the footsteps were coming. I saw an unhuman figure, approximately 20 to 30 feet away from me. The figure stopped moving as I flashed the light towards it. It was so dark I could hardly make out any of the details. Whatever or whoever this was around 7 foot tall, and it looked like it could rip anyone apart. That was truly the most horrifying thing I had ever seen. I didn't know if this was really happening. I prayed it was all a dream. My heart started racing. It seemed like it was gonna explode. That's when I decided the only way I could make it out there alive was if I ran at maximum velocity to my room. I ran as fast as I could, trying to make it past the figure. That was a huge mistake, because the next thing that happened is practically indescribable. The figure grabbed me with its arms and pushed me towards the wall. That's when I woke up. I was in the hotel room. It was all a dream. I never felt so relieved before. I looked at the clock and it marked 2 a.m. I tried to go back to sleep, hoping I wouldn't have the same nightmare again. Then, I heard something fall. I couldn't make out what it was, so I turned around to see. That's when I saw it again. The figure from my nightmare. It was standing in the corner of the room, staring at me.